and Public Relations Committee. Um, Make it note that my co-chair is here. And also, please, this is a request for citizen representation. We need a citizen rep too. And please, there's a lot of opportunities for you to have your input. So if you are hearing me, please come and join us in the Communication Public Relations Committee. I looked at the minutes, and I'll ask my co-chair if she has any comments or about the minutes.
Do I have anything about
Yeah,
it? Well, I wasn't here the last time to hear the comments on, especially what Nichols is doing.
Okay, well, we'll just say I did read it and I'll approve it as presented. So unfinished business, we spoke of last month about the broadband, and I know that the city manager has had more information that he shared with the fiber that's going across the lake, and I'm still under the thought that something can be done before this time frame, because it looks like if they gotta do testing, our broadband could be out 4 years from now before we even get an opportunity to. So I'm asked the city manager if he can help us out with our thought pattern.
I would just say that, consistent with your thoughts there, we are trying all the angles to try to see if we can get as much moving on this as soon as we can, both with and without the peninsula operations coming across the lake.
So where is the other avenues that we might be looking into?
The feds are supposed to be releasing some more beads of money, and we're trying to get in a position to be prepared when that happens to see if we can take advantage of it.
Will we still be required to do a survey, or
Very probably, yes.
is it that something that we are already entertaining to make it a successful attempt?
As soon as we can get the word, if we'll have an opportunity to do that, we will. And I'll be asking for help from everybody, including yourselves, to help us do that.
That's what I'm looking to hear, Mr. Little. Thank you. Any questions about broadband?
And I don't want to miss the opportunity, though, also, for anyone who might be listening. Any homes that have children in them that qualify for the free school lunch program and seniors who are on Medicaid are able to contact Comcast right now and to get internet. I won't go so far as to say high speed, but to get internet from Comcast.
Maybe you
In
should,
the center area.
maybe you should repeat that.
I certainly will, sir. If any household that has children that are recipients of the free school lunch program, as well as any seniors who are on Medicaid, automatically qualify for a $9, it's under $10 a month internet program with Comcast.
All right, that's just more good information that we can share with our residents. When I think about this program and the survey that we're going to be needing, And I think Comcast will have a really substantial list of people that they can share it with us, and we won't have to be following anyone, but, because I know the last time we just couldn't get it together fast enough. And I wanna make sure that we reach out to Comcast, who has a large list of people that we can reach out to. And I'm almost to bet a dime to a dollar that this speed will qualify us for the broadband.
Let me help clarify that for you so you understand. The hurdle that we have to overcome is the fact that the way they wrote the law, if you have coax cable going through your city, and that's what Comcast uses to transmit its cable television, that coax cable is rated to be able to transmit internet up to 100 Mbps, millibytes per second or whatever. They consider that to be high-speed internet, whether or not it's actually connected. The fact that it's there is treated as if you have high-speed internet. That's a flaw in this whole darn thing. To overcome it, you have to try and identify who in your various census tracts currently are paying for high-speed internet. And then you have to do a test to determine whether or not it really is high-speed or not. If it's not, and you find, I believe it's 9 different individuals within that census tract where they think they've got high speed and it doesn't produce at that speed, then that gets removed from the listing of what's there. Right now, they show this city as 80% covered because of the coax cable and Comcast, 20% not. You find the census tract that don't have enough, and you take that out and add it to the 20%, and that's what you begin to qualify for. It's a complex kind of process. So
Okay.
Comcast would not necessarily be,
Gotcha,
okay, got it, yeah.
gotcha, okay. All right, nothing on broadband anymore. Mass texting, have we stretched out any further with the mass testing? And I know that the city manager said that $3,900 was doable, but when I really start looking at the process, it will not cover this whole city. I'm looking for something that gets it all done and everybody's included with the same information. And so if somebody can show me something different, please, I'd like to see, because I know the clerk has looked at it, and I don't know if the city manager has looked at it or not, but I'll ask the clerk.
So I actually did do a demo with the company. They're the same providers that do our website. And it isn't just a sign up on the website. They give you a number. So anybody can text into that number to sign up for whatever categories they want. We can choose the categories. We can choose it by what information we want to put out. We can update it as we go along. If it's for a specific project and that project is complete, we can take it off, do another one. But it's not like a sign up where you have to go to the website. So there is a phone number. It would just be getting that phone number out to people to say, hey, this is how you signed up for the text messages. And they do the texting and they do the emailing. So the subscriber gets to choose one or both.
And I really believe that's about as good as you can get, because when you're transmitting information to people, it's going to require some effort on the parts of the individual, whether it's pick up and read a newsletter or hit the button on your cell phone to see what's there. They're going to have to do something, you know. And I would say that this is really about as good and as effective as anything is going to be. The system that we had Nick working on was set up, required about the same thing. That if you remember, you had these, what are the little squiggly things?
QR code.
Right, you go up to it and scan it with your phone, and it will automatically allow you to sign in. That's the same kind of process. They got to make the effort to say, I want to see it.
I agree. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm not into technology that much in the first place.
You can hear your mic so your constituents can hear
I'm
what you're
not
saying.
that acquainted with technology and up on it, but I was interested in seeing that, when Nicholas came with, I guess his report, that it was thought that it was more cost effective than the newsletter with the states here. So I'm trying to see in what area does one supersedes the other. Your method with the newsletter or his method with how he's going about it because like I said, I'm not gonna speak the language that
Right.
everyone else is, because I'm not that technically savvy. But I do know that to communicate, get an understanding as to what's going on is needed. And I want to know which one would be better in really understanding and getting the information out. His method or your newsletter that you were putting forward.
Well, of course, you
And the
know,
broadband and all of this concerns of all of this, I'm not, like I said, up on a lot of the things, but, and I don't mind saying that some people are smart and don't know they're dumb. So I know what I don't really understand, and I'm not afraid to say that I don't understand it. But I do know right from wrong, that's the only thing.
okay. Well, if you look at the total picture that we have several pieces in place to communicate with the citizens, but it's not complete. Everybody can't have access to it. And that's one reason why I'm really encourage us to do the newsletter, because that is inclusive to everyone. So the website is not available to everyone. The texting will not be available to everyone. So those kind of things are technology, but we need to make sure that everyone knows of every issue that's coming through, even about the Comcast and text messaging. We need to make sure that our people have a full picture of it. Everybody understand. And that's the only one that I've come up with that will give us a complete, transparent conversation with the residents.
I do agree also because, like I said, some of us is not technically savvy or have no need. I heard one of the ladies that volunteers in the garden, she has a phone and her husband uses a lot of other technology. She said, but Em, I have no interest in it. All I want to do is make my call and make sure a person get my conversation as clear as possible and as transparent. And she said, so that's all I understand about it. So some people don't even have the interest to even get involved to learn a lot about the new technical ways that they do things. And I do know that technology now is really taking over. So you have to really get involved to some extent. I do all the time when it comes to different problems that we might have in the garden. So these are things that I do know how to go and capture that from Googling. But as far as the letter, I know there are some seniors, which I'm a senior. A lot of the seniors do not have that energy, and babies are walking around in diapers. Technology, they're ready for it. That's all I have.
Okay, but we're definitely not gonna put the newsletter to bed. We're gonna discuss this over and over and over until there's 5 elected officials agree to it. And
Madam-
we find the money, we allocate the money from somewhere else to the newsletter. That's my goal,
Madam Chairperson,
yes.
if I might like to agree with both of you. As Ms. Kennard said, everybody is not, I'll say this a different way, at the same level technologically. Some don't want to be bothered with it at all, but for the most part, I'm finding that the vast majority of people use it at some level. You go into a nursing home or wherever, and you're gonna find elderly people there with that phone to both make a phone call and see them grandkids' pictures on there when they send them. They learned enough to be able to see that picture when somebody sends their grandbaby's picture. Because you'll see them looking at them trying to dance and singing whatever. They use it to a certain extent. The same in terms of people making a choice as to what level they want to be involved. That's the same with technology or written material. A lot of the advertising stuff they send in the mail is totally wasted on people because they don't want to be bothered with it. They just throw it away. I throw it away for the most part. But the same is true when it comes to looking at a newspaper or a newsletter or whatever. Everybody who gets it isn't going to read it. And people are not interested. And you won't get any greater absorption of knowledge from people trying to look at a newsletter than you will looking at a cell phone. What I would advocate is that cost effectiveness being an important part of it, that a combination of the sending messages over the cell phones and whatnot, computers that people choose to exercise it, and possibly some radio programming and so forth, would probably reach the greatest number of people if you did a combination of these kinds of things. The cost of trying to, one, assemble and pull all the information together to write a newsletter. These people won't have time to do that. Don't have time to do the stuff right now that is critical for them to do. They're printing it and trying to get it distributed and all of that. There's no money to pay the mailing cost and all of that for getting that kind of thing out. Where you can accomplish the same thing and get a lot more information by just putting together a combination of these things. Mr. Gunn was showing us how many people were looking at the information that was going out on Facebook on the site that he created for the city. And it was a rapidly growing number as people began to realize that it was there. Now, they're not there just to pick up some information about the water bill or pick up some information. They're there because they're expected to see all kinds of information about things going on in the city, up to and including pictures of friends they know, relatives and whatnot, who might appear because they're at a picnic or some other gathering or whatnot. No matter what it is, it brings people to it. And they get to see the stuff.
Well, I agree. People have to step up. And I do not agree that people will not read it. I mean, I'm looking at how we deal with our local paper. It's a free paper. People go out of their way to get it, and they share it. Did you see that article that was in the Ben Spear? Well, here, read this. Now there's a question to ask. Who do you call? So now the question comes back to the commission. They call their commissioners. They call their elected officials because they got a question that they saw. Can't even form a question unless you have some information. So that's what I'm trying to do, is give valid information on the good things that will affect and empower our residents. From what I could see, that the summer program with that AI wrote a lot of stuff for that program, and it's a good thing, but it's not personal. It didn't give us any opportunities that you created, Mr. Little. And then said not one time mentioned a job, one job. It was one, and that's a success. But I'm saying that communication effort did not work. A lot of people signed on because people want to hear information. They want to know what's going on. And that's just another way, but I'm looking for 100% of everybody have an opportunity to read and understand what's going on. From every project that's been done to every comment that happens in this chamber that is relevant. So it's not having transparency and giving information about what's going on is very important. And that started for me back in the early 70s. So that's, and the commission has constantly said, we need transparency. We need to be more open. We need to be, so here we are some years later, and we're still saying the same thing without any movement. I know we're trying, but it's not enough. We gotta get 100% of the people, and that'll mean every household will get a letter. Unless we can come up with something else. I'm game on the mass texting. Let's try it and see how it falls out at the end of, give it a year or what, and see where it comes, how it falls out. That's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing. I agree with you.
You good? Okay.
I'm in
Okay.
disagreement with all of that you guys said.
Well, I'm happy to see that, citizen.
You wanna ask me why?
Yes, why?
Because the way the newsletter was snubbed from the very beginning. And I know nobody wants everybody in Benton Harbor to know everything that happens here.
Obviously. Thank you.
If it's so obvious, why can't we implement the newsletter for what's called a stage run, just to see how our people react to it, who does what, everybody in this town need to know everything that's going on here, especially what's going on downtown. If we miss this opportunity, I hear you guys say that over and over and over. If we miss this opportunity to reach out and touch every citizen, even the old ones that might look at it and lay it down and come back and read it later. Somebody is out of touch, somebody is out of whack. If you think that a citizen is not going to pick that newspaper up and read it, and knowing it's about us as citizens, as kids, they need to see some of the stuff what would be in that newsletter to help them along the way, along the right way, because that's what you guys represent. And I said, all of you guys represent that. So why would you want that? Why would you go any other way? Now that's just my person, in my opinion, but I think it would be non-beneficial for our citizens.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Chair, I really agree with Mr. Duncan. He shed light on, sometimes they say I'm always at a disagreement with everything. So I try to work with what sometimes comes across. But I agree with you totally, Mr. Duncan, because we need transparency, which is in black and white. And how do we know that this won't work if we at least give it a trial run, as you were saying? So I think that is most important and most crucial now. Is that get the information. We've been, as you said, kicking the can down the road too long. It's different things that I have came here just since January and asked for. And it's a roadblock. And we've got to get the information out one way or another, so that the people will be better informed, and maybe there will be greater participation among our people, young and old. So I do agree with him. Let's give it a trial run. If it doesn't seem to work, then we could sort of work with the other method that has gone out. But I do know that if you got it in black and white, you can sometime when the issue come up, you can go back to the reference of what was about that situation, pull it up and read it. Right now, we have to try to remember or where to search or where to go and get that information. But that's one of the things, like I said, it's hard for me to even get answers a lot of times. And so it behooves me for that we would sit here and let an opportunity like that get past us.
Could I say something, Madam Chairperson?
Absolutely.
It isn't that we don't want to do a newsletter. It's the obstacles that are involved in trying to do it effectively. For example, one, the money and cost involved in producing it. I mean, if we were sitting down trying to do a newsletter right now, you could probably get some information regarding some items from the police department. You could get some routine information regarding water bill payment processes and that type of thing, water department. But the kind of thing that you're talking about, if you want to know exactly what's taking place, for example, with broadband, because of the way your city is structured currently financially, there's nobody else that can tell you what's going on with that. I would have to sit down and try to bring you up to speed. If you wanted to know about Project T, a lot of people that can tell you about what's going on with it. I'm sitting to this afternoon and the rest of the week reading through about 5 documents that have been drafted and sent to us to review for final action to be taken on them. I distributed some of those this afternoon and asked a couple of staff people to review it and let me know what, if they see any problems with it or whatever. In reality, I read like the equivalent of a Chicago telephone book every month. Most of my folks don't do that. They don't have the information. I have it. And I don't have the time to sit down and do what you're asking, because like right now, this is the last week of the month. I've been every spare minute I could get today working on preparing that letter to go to Eagle. It has to be there by Friday. That prevents me from doing a lot of the other things that I would like to be able to do. If you ask about what's happening with corner of Wall Street, Wall Street is moving along, and one thing right now that we got as a little hurdle is the GM Brass property immediately to the west of it there. It's been sitting there for years with these drums that nobody knows what's in them, and the pile of foundry sand that Mr. wants it removed. We thought we might be able to get some help and get Eagle to make them clear it up. But Eagle said no. They applied for a water permit that was given to them that simply requires them to make sure that none of that foundry sand falls into the drainage system. As long as they're doing that, there's nothing we can do. No, there's nobody else that could tell you what I just finished telling you but me. And I don't have time. I'm saying I could probably do it like I just did it on a little video to go on, in that 5 or 6 minutes. But if I'm sitting there trying to wait for somebody to write all that down and make sure they understand it, or me taking time, it's not gonna happen. And it's not because I don't want to, I can't. I've got too many other
That makes a lot of
things.
sense to me, Mr. Little,
Yeah.
but I'll say to you, and I grew up in the corporate world from the bottom one to the top,
Mhm.
and allocated the work to somebody else.
You can't allocate that to nobody else. There's nobody qualified to handle it.
If there's somebody that, when we report to committee, and there's a discussion in committee, and it comes out of committee, and we vote on it, there's a paper trail there that can be told what happened, who did what, who said what. It's a lot of information can be told about that action that we eventually voted on. And those are the kind of information you don't really have to verify or even, but it's there because it went through the process of committee and being approved by the body.
That part I would agree with you
So
on. but
there's
yes,
the foundation of our newsletter. When Abermarch for years did not give us a report for nothing, you came on board, now we get a report every project. That is a formatting that can go in the newsletter. People will know that in April, the job is gonna be started in your area. In the newsletter. They don't find out when they get out the next one morning and the streets is already tore up. Those are the things that we as elected officials, as well as citizens, want to know.
Madam Clerk, do you recall how much we spent to affect this system so that these meetings could go out on YouTube?
$65
$68,000.
And one of the best ways in the world for people to get the information, if they want to get it, is to just sit down at television and turn on YouTube and look at it. They don't even have to look at it while it's going on. They can look at it whenever it's convenient to
So
them.
we like,
Because I've got to where if I miss church, I go on there and look, because I can go later and see everything that went on at church.
That's another way that we have made an effort to reach out to people, but it is not at 100%. It is not at 100%. There's some people that cannot go on YouTube, don't understand to go on YouTube, don't want to go on YouTube, whatever. So I'm looking for that 100%.
You're not gonna get it. There's
Well,
no way.
Well,
You can give
it- it
everybody
is-
a newsletter and they're still not gonna read it. You won't get 100%.
Well, I don't believe that. Like I said, if it's nothing but the grandkids read it and they get an understanding, or have the initiative to ask the question, well, why is this? Because that's the only way that you can formulate a question, is you have some kind of information to go on. So if that information is laying on the kitchen table or sitting in the bathroom and somebody, even a relative, come in and read it, they can understand what the city of Benton Harbor is doing or plan to do. And when I look at the PA and I see one mailing cost us $2,600. One mailing,
Right.
just one. And we can get 12 months of it and some special pages just for us. It does not add up. One mailing, $2,600. It's not adding up. So we're gonna keep this discussion going, and sooner or later, somebody's gonna feel sorry for the residents of Benton Harbor and give them some transparency. Yes, Ms.
One of the things they say that there's so much ignorance here in Benton Harbor, unlearned people, and you turn and frown their faces. I think if you provide people with information that they need, we could have more of an effectively ran city. So many times we as commissioners have asked for answers. And when others come to us and ask us about it, we can't give them an answer because we're not getting it. So it's to say to me, we definitely have got to get some information out here so that people can be more informed. If you don't have answers or don't have an answer to something you have concerned about, and you ask from a person that's not familiar with the city of Benton Harbor, you can't give them an answer. First thing they want to know, what kind of a city is this that don't have information about their most important business? So we've got to have answers. If it's too much for one person, we've got to find a way to have someone to cover in those areas that might not be full-time. But at a certain time, we get that newsletter, here's information here from the last meeting. These informations can be captured. And like they said, you could go on YouTube or whatever. Maybe some people is not even have the, what do you call it, in order to get YouTube?
Wi-Fi, whatever.
Wi-Fi, yes. But at any rate, they don't have, we got to do everything as a commission to try to get the information out there to the people. And the only way we can do that is to have that information to us as well, so as to put in place for others to get that information. And I think we'd have a much smoother ran city. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, anything on new business?
Public relations. The citizens are asking a very particular question. And I did ask you about the rubber in the parks.
Yes.
A gentleman sent me a picture of a reading of the heat reading of the part of the rubber. And it was way into the over 100, and that was on a mild day. I imagine that it's even worse when it's 100 or 99 and 105. I'm looking at Union Park and the devastation that the rubber is doing to the park. And I can imagine that Broadway Park will be falling right in line, and Charles Yarborough as well. And so I'm just gonna open up that question. I don't know if you made a request for Whirlpool to let us know what they,
I spoke to the manager that's done the construction on them and asked for the MSDS sheets on them. They're going to send those to me shortly. I hope to have them before the week's out. That'll give us what the chemical commons makeup is of the material, the heat coefficient and all that kind of stuff. Because I don't doubt in 1 minute that it would be hot on a day like this. Anything black, my car, when the sun hits it on a day like this, heats up like mad. And so we'll get that information.
and I would ask you to go to Union Park and look at the mess that's causing Union Park. It's all over the park. It's not concentrated in one area anymore. So hopefully, Madam Chair, Clerk, put that on for agenda conversation under public relations.
Why not on the parks?
Well, because it never got discussed under parks. It didn't even get asked in Parks and Recs. So it came from me personally, and I feel comfortable getting it under public relations because it's the people that are asking the question about the rubber.
I'll get the information to you as soon as I get it then.
Thank you. Ms. Canard?
Yes. Once we get the information, then where do we go with it?
Well, if we see anything damaging, then we have to fix it. If we don't, it's all good.
If you don't get the information, or if you don't get,
No, if you get the information and the information proves that it's not good, it's something that's hazardous or whatever it is, then we have to fix it. And if it proves that it's safe, then no problem. But from my understanding, it's not safe. So we'll put it back on the agenda. If another commission asks the question and they want to put it on their committee sooner than next month for this committee, I'll welcome it. So whenever we get the information, that's the quicker we can either fix it or know that it's all right. Mr. Duncan, you got something to say before we leave?
Yes, that's the long way around. And it's gonna be hot tomorrow. Somebody get hurt out there tomorrow. We put it off until when? Down the road somewhere. Then how we gonna feel? I know I feel real bad about it because I said it in the meeting, just watch y'all pass it off to the next meeting in 2 weeks or 4 weeks.
Mr. Duncan, what's the option? I mean, I can't.
That's the
Generally.
only option, right? Say that,
Mhm.
and I'll agree with you. I'll listen to you. Say that's the only option that Duncan we got. Let's just wait until we see
Right,
something down the road.
until I get the material that we asked for.
The material is already there. Why don't y'all get all the material up and out of the playground?
we,
Any,
We'll make
I'm
sure that-
asking too
we'll
much.
make sure that
I'll
the-
leave it alone if you guys won't leave it alone.
we'll make sure that it's safe. And I know, to my understanding, it's been a long time. That's why I'm bringing it up in this committee. Because it didn't get brought up in another committee and it didn't get asked. Through a committee. I personally asked Mr. Little.
yes, and I will get it to you.
So,
as I can get
I'm
it.
bringing it up so it'll be official that I asked for it and he knows that it's something that we really need.
Are you gonna need 5 commissioners to vote on it to get it done?
Of course we do.
Okay,
Democrat works.
good.
Any more questions? If not, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.